Finding Me family. Bringing you word of the week from the Finding Me universe. We're going to be talking about self-healing and the benefits of self-healing, what you can do to self-heal. Number one we're going to do is uproot. It sounds a little weird, and the reason why I chose uproot is because sometimes we think just because we've cut that part of our lives off that it's done, there's no longer a problem. But we're going to be treating this more as a physical thing. You're going to be able to think about it in the mental terms, spiritual terms, emotional terms, verbal terms, and physical. So the reason why I say to uproot it is because when something happens to us, it's almost like a seed has been planted inside of us. And with that seed being planted, it catches root and it grows. And no matter how much you clip those weeds and you cut the grass and mow the lawn, or however you want to relate to it, you're always going to have it regrow. There's going to be something that makes it grow again. So I need you to find your pain, whatever that pain may be, whatever traumatizing moment that may be, whatever experience it may be, and I want you to literally rip those roots out of there. Don't be afraid of the pain. And you say, why? Why should I not be afraid of the pain? You're asking me to rip some pain out of me. You're already experiencing the pain. You've been holding on to this pain for how long? So the pain is already there. You're just afraid to face it again. You're afraid to see what it looks like again because you don't want to re-experience the moment. There are things you can do to keep from re-experiencing the whole moment. We'll talk about that another time. Number two is going to be detox. Once you rip those roots out, you snatch those roots out, I don't want you to replace it with something or someone else. You need to give that time to let it mend itself. Nurture that dirt, nurture that wound, nurture that pain inside of you. Cleanse yourself, let it go. And that can be in crying, that can be in physical activity, that can be in writing. That is forms that you can push it out. Use some type of way to channel that energy. That way you're not holding on to it, you're pushing it out of you. Prayer, meditation, yoga, Pilates, those are things that help spiritually as well. Reiki is another thing that also helps. You can go get a Reiki cleansing done. It's an energy cleansing. It helps balance your chakras, and it also helps seal your energy and protect your aura. That's another subject as well. Number three is going to be nurture. Now you're wondering, like, wait a minute, you just said that cleansing and all of these other great qualities that I just named are ways to give that wound time to heal. It is. But you also want to give yourself some tender loving care. And by giving yourself tender loving care, that includes some me time. That includes being in a place of solitude. You have to be able to be comfortable with yourself when you're going through moments like this. And the reason why I say you need to be able to be comfortable with yourself, because if you're not comfortable with yourself, then who's going to be comfortable with you when you're having a bad moment, when you're going through a healing process, when you're experiencing a bad moment, when you do have something that reminds you of your traumatizing moments. Because even though we're working on healing it, it doesn't mean that it goes away. It just means that it has no more control over you. So that's how I feel about nurturing. Another thing that I want to tell you about nurturing yourself, once you've pulled up those roots and you've given yourself time to let that area detox and cleanse itself, let some rain fall on it, I want you to start loving yourself in the way that the person that hurt you, you allowed to hurt you. I want you to love yourself the way you wish they had loved you. And sometimes if you can't love yourself in that aspect, there are people out there in this world who want to love you in that way. And an example I could mean like a family member, a mother, a brother, a sister, a father, a aunt, uncle, cousins, daughter, son. There are people out there in this world that want to love you that way when you are not able to love yourself in the way that you wish those people had loved you. Number four is going to be set up boundaries. People confuse boundaries and walls as the same thing, and it is not. It is not. Walls are like, no one's getting in. I don't want you to come in, and I'm stuck in here by myself looking on the outside through this little bitty peephole because I don't want anyone to sneak up on me. But you don't realize that you have all these walls built up with no windows. You You don't see anybody, baby. You only see out through this one little small vision. So boundaries give you like a do not cross this line type of thing. And with you having boundaries, that keeps you from lashing out. It keeps you from allowing people to come in closer than you want them to come in, closer than you're ready for them to come in. And a small boundary could mean give me my space and my time while I heal. Another small boundary could mean, no, I don't want to go to this step with you. I want to wait a little bit longer because I'm not ready. Those are simple little boundaries to protect yourself and to protect others, because just as much as you're healing, you can hurt other people while you're healing. The bonus, I want you to grow through it, and I want you to grow out of it. Don't feel like you are your pain or your experience, because you're not. That's just something that you saw in life. That's something that you experienced. That's something that you witnessed. That's something that was no longer there anymore. That's why it's a part of your past. To make it physical, earlier last week I started talking to a lot of women. I shared the wow prep for the week a while ago, last week, and we were talking about healing. This can be a physical aspect for many of us. Go get you a plant. And when I say a plant, for some of you, you're not a green thumb, so I don't mind you getting a plant that's already, blooming. But it's a lot better when you get a seed. Pick out a flower or a plant that you like, that you resonate with. And I want you to plant that seed. That means you have to pick out a pot, or you have to pick out a place in your yard or on your balcony, wherever you can plant a seed. You need to pick a spot and pick a pot if you have to have a pot. Decorate the pot, because this is your foundation. That pot is going to be your body, where that plant is going to grow out of. Plant that seed and nurture that seed. Water that seed. You have to actually speak to your plants. I know it sounds insane, but it's actually true. The more you speak to your plant, because they feed off vibrations just like we do, because we are vibrations. They are vibrations. It's going to respond in a certain way. If you're speaking bad things to it, it's going to not grow the way you want it to grow. If you speak happiness and love and you give it some light and water, it's going to grow, because that's how things grow on this planet, in this universe. Now, if you are having a bad moment and you don't tend to your plant or your flower, and you let your flower die, you have just let your healing process die, because you've reverted back to where you once were. And I want you to think about that. And for those of you who are not into planting anything, find another way to plant a seed, nurture it, and watch it grow. You now have an open spot to fill in your heart with something special. It doesn't have to be anything bad. And don't let it just be any random person or thing. You're not filling a void. It's not Swiss cheese. I'm Sincere Heart, your magical goddess in love and light. I love you, and I will be talking to you all next week.